my name is Bellam and this is my YouTube channel. Yay! Okay, so there are so many things that we can talk about on here. Let's see. Well, I made this YouTube channel mostly because I want to improve my communication skills. I tend to be very shy and my voice tends to be very quiet. Right now I'm speaking a little louder than I normally would. At least in my head, it sounds like I speak loud, but people are like, no, you speak like with a very small voice and very quiet and this and that. But actually, my speakers on my laptop are not that good. I know, Toshiba, please do something about it, please. Okay, so I don't know if it's the same way if I speak into them as opposed to, me listening. So that's why I'm speaking a little louder. I probably scared away my sister because she was here in the living room just a while ago, and yes. Anyways, I really wanted to improve. First of all, when I was little, I used to stutter a lot, and I had to learn how to think before I speak, kind of thing, before I spoke. Yeah, I need to go over my English again. hmm in my defense, I've been taking Spanish for the last 2.5 months, so it's mostly me trying to get into the Spanish world and, speaking Spanish, and especially because I stayed in Mexico for a couple of days, and I know it was like half a month actually, but I had to learn to like retrain myself to listen and then, you know, catch on to what they were saying. Anyways, basically that's the only reason I got this YouTube channel. That and there's so many things to discuss, obviously. Also because, well, I've been putting up videos because I have a tendency of never uploading my videos and then they get lost and then people are like, oh, you remember this video you had? Can I see it again? And I'll end up with my camera broke or this or that and I never save the videos and I'm learning to upload them because I've never really been able to until recently. So that's good. Um, let's see. Okay, well, starting with our new topic. Sorry, little tickle on my nose. um, so I've been dressing up lately, and I've been learning how to put on makeup, mostly because I've been looking for jobs, and I haven't been able to get a job. Like I've been going on interviews, like applying to all these places. No one seems to hire me, and I lost my two jobs at the same time, mostly because one of them was a temporary job. That's one thing, and it's only whenever I was needed. So whenever I was really busy, when people were about to go into school, and right as the semester began, sort of thing. And at the end of the semester, because that's when people are turning in their books, there's a buyback, so back, whatever it's called. Sorry, I know, I should know. Um, and I loved my job at the bookstore, but my managers are no longer there, which really, really sucks because I love my managers were super awesome. Okay, and I went to Mountain View College here in Dallas, and the bookstore managers there were amazing. They were really nice, and I missed them. The other job, well, the secretary did not like me for some reason, and as soon as my contract expired, they were making all these demands. They're like, "Oh, you need to have a driver's license for this job." And I'm like, "I fill out paperwork, and yes, I do work with like patients with disabilities and stuff, but why do I need a driver's license?" I would think they would say, "Oh, you need reliable transportation. You're gonna go work with them," but I would only work with them on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. That was it. And there, I don't know if it was actually the manager and stuff, and being very naive, being my first job basically, I didn't really know what my rights were. They didn't pay me for the last 3 months, and then when they let me go, they're like, "Oh, your contract expired. We don't have any responsibilities towards you. We don't have to pay you." So I didn't know that I could actually go to the workforce compensation. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Well, I didn't know anything about that until like months later. Somebody told me like, "Why didn't you do this?" There's no use in yelling at me, by the way. Anyways, but I didn't know. Anyway, so skipping ahead. So I've been dressing up nicely, and yesterday I went, I take the bus, then the train, and then depending on where I'm going, it's either walking, shuttle, bus, or more trains, and you know. If you take public transportation, you know. Yes. And so I was dressed up all nice, and I was wondering why people on the bus were very, very weird. It's like no one really sat next to me. Normally, when I'm dressed up in t-shirt and jeans and my tennis shoes, people don't really sit next to me. If they do, most of those people are very rude, or they just don't really talk to me. It's very mostly it's the older ladies and older gentlemen that would speak very nicely to me if I'm dressed that way. And because probably they probably think I'm like a teenager. A lot of them do think that, and a lot of times I do kind of. I guess because I can pass off as being under 18. Because sometimes people are like, "So, are you 18?" And I'm like, "No, no." So people some because sometimes I get there's those creepy guys. Oh my goodness! And it's like you can kind of spot them once they start asking those questions, and you're like, crap. And there was this one guy like, so when you turn 18, I hope I run into you again. I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't. Just stay away from me. Okay, well, anyways, yesterday I was really dressed all nicely and everything. No one really sat next to me. And I was like, wow, I repel people now. I should dress up more nicely. But I think it was mostly because there was mostly ladies with their little kids, and most of the people during the middle of the, well, not really middle of the day, but this was like 9 a.m. So it's after the morning work rush, I guess you could call it. But the train was like super full, and no one sat next to me, and I was like, do I stink or something? I was like, oh my gosh, my perfume must be really strong, and it kind of was a little. I'm so sorry, but I didn't really know. So I was like, okay, whatever. But it seems like people did approach me more. They just didn't really sit next to me. They would approach me to ask questions like, oh, what about this? Or do you know about this train? Like, I don't know if I seemed like I was like some sort of traveler, but that just seems like a great thing. Um, anyway, so I went to school to go turn in my books. I'm a college student, so I went to go turn in my textbooks that I rented. So going like walking, because I have three options. There's like a shuttle that takes us to school. There's a school bus sort of thingy, or well, the shuttle's the school bus basically. Um, there's a bus that takes us to the two different museums at my school, and there's a bus that passes by the museum, and also I wasn't so sure because they changed the times and like the routes, so I wasn't so sure if it was gonna pass by the bookstore anymore. So I was like, okay, my final option is walking. And it's not a bad walk. It's about 5, 7 minutes, just to get there, like walking. And I was like, you know what? I can just walk. I'll enjoy the day and stuff. Well, wearing makeup and then being hot is not a good thing because I was sweating like sweating like super super bad, like sweating my shirt, everything, like the blouse and stuff. And I had an umbrella, and I was like, it wasn't so awesome. Anyways, like I don't know if there was like a convention maybe. There were like these business like people, and I was reapplying makeup on one eye because I kind of messed it up when I was home. And the guy's like, "You're so beautiful. You don't have to put on makeup." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. Whatever." And it was like, "Crap." I just said whatever, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, the guy's gonna think I'm like so weird. Like I can't take a compliment." And my nail polish came off. I had like clear nail polish, and it kept coming off because I put like 3 coats on it, and I guess that was too much. Anyways, so making my way to the bookstore, just walking, okay? So people were nice even when I was trying to cross the street. It's like the little walking person, to cross the street for pedestrians doesn't last that long in that area, okay? So people will sometimes just yell at you, like, it's like, you can only walk when that person's on there, or this and that, like, hurry it up, and this and that. No, this time it was like, oh, no, go ahead, go ahead. And I was like, oh, well, people are being so nice to me. I should dress up more often. And, so I went to the bookstore, and normally when I see somebody, let's just say my school has a lot of people that are Caucasian, and they see anyone else that doesn't really fit in with them, then they're like, "Oh, can I help you?" And they give you that little look like I'm watching you. I'm watching you. And most of the time somebody will follow you around, and it's like you feel that. Like it's like so tense. Like that moment is like, gosh, like what's going on? Even when I'm dressed up in my blouse and my pants and stuff. But now that I had makeup on, people were like, "Hello." Okay, and I'm over exaggerating here, but I mean it was just one of those moments where I was like, I've never been treated this way anywhere. Exactly. My school, okay, the staff members there are really nice, except for one staff member that I've dealt with, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, so it was actually nice. Like people were being nice. I went to the back of the bookstore where they do the buybacks and the all that stuff and the returns. And I went and I'm like, oh, is this where you turn in the textbooks? Because they have like different lines that they set up sometimes, like at the end of the semester. So I wasn't sure. And I was like, well, it's summer, maybe that's not the case. So the lady's like, oh, you can turn them in right here. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she's about my age, probably. I mean, she looks like my age, like early 20s. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe she's my age. And I went and turned it in. She's like, would you like a receipt? I'm like, yes. And then she's like, have a wonderful day. And I'm like, no one ever says that to me. At this school, no one says that to me. So I was fairly surprised. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. I'm like, you too. And I went and looked around and everything. And only one person followed me around, and he wasn't even Caucasian. I'm just going to say that. So I just thought that was really funny. And I was just looking around. Yeah, I was just looking around. And then I was like, you know what? I didn't really want to waste money. I'm a college student. I have no money. I'm looking for a job. I can't really be wasting money anyways. And as much as I would love to buy all these books, I really couldn't. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk. And as long as people were just being very nice and like asking me all these questions. I'm like, okay, do I look like I know my whole place or like I know the whole place? No, probably not, or maybe I don't know. So I ended up leaving. I went to the mall, and I can take the train. There's like a shuttle that takes you to the mall. So I was like, okay, I'm going to the mall. So I went to the T-Mobile store because I have a T-Mobile phone, and I was asking about the family plan. And the guy was really nice to me, gave me his business card, and he was just very nice to me. And I noticed the way he was with the lady in front of me. She was just wearing like a one of those spaghetti shirts and like a little skirt, and she looked nice, but it was, I guess, in my idea of nice, I mean, it's just anything that looks nicer than what I normally wear. So I was like, why is he being like that to her? And then to me, he was all like, how may I help you? Oh, do you need anything? Do you want to show you around this and that? And I was like, okay, this guy is like interesting and the way he's acting. And so I was like, okay, we were just talking about it. He was being very nice and everything. And then people at the mall were really nice to me. Normally, even at the Starbucks at the mall, normally you get these people that work there and they're like, they just look at you and it's like they think they know you. And I'm like, dude, I've been here so many times and this guy was being super nice to me out of nowhere. And I'm like, this guy's a jerk. What the hell's wrong with him? I'm like, oh, it's because I'm dressed up and all nice and wearing makeup and stuff. And I've actually been practicing because I'm not good with makeup, so yeah. So that was my experience yesterday wearing makeup. The other experience, when I was talking about the teacher, the professor, interestingly enough, the one that was really, really rude to me all the time was a Hispanic professor. And she was saying stuff like, you're a disgrace to the Hispanic community, you're this and that. Only because I could not speak Spanish that well. And first of all, this is what I really want to tell her, but it's just I ended up dropping her class, like withdrawing from it. I did not understand. Okay, first of all, I was supposed to be in intermediate Spanish. Okay? And she's like, you're Hispanic, you need to be in this class. Okay, she used to be an advisor, by the way. She ended up moving me from intermediate to native speakers class. It was like not literature, but it was like heritage speaking something, grammar class. And well, I appreciate you thinking that I would speak Spanish that well. No, I really don't. First of all, the reason that I don't speak Spanish that well, and I would love to say this because a lot of people are always like, you're Hispanic, how do you not speak Spanish that well? Why would you not know? Okay, first of all, it depends on how you grow up. First of all, my parents do want to teach me Spanish, did want to. Um, my mom, when she came to the US, they told her, oh, they don't speak Spanish here. You should learn. And this was when she first came here, like almost 30 years. So I don't know. Well, she was 14, okay, when she first came here, and she started working and stuff. She's like, well, I can work here and everything. So her managers were like, it's not good. You need to learn English. And so they started teaching her and stuff. And so she got that idea that, oh, they're never going to speak like Spanish here. You have to speak English. So she started teaching us Spanish. And then we had to incorporate English into my vocabulary, into like all the kids' vocabulary, right? So me, my sister, my brother, her kids and stuff. And so that's what happened. When we went to school, they put me in all English classes. They made a contract, and they were like, oh, you kids cannot speak Spanish in this school, this, and that. And we got removed. So when I got into 5th grade, I went to a whole new different school. They messed up. It was another girl that came in this very same day as me and my sister. Okay, first of all, how are you going to think that only one sister needs to be in English class and the other one needs to be in Spanish? I don't know how the school did this. So, yeah. The other girl was misplaced and put in an English class, like all English. She did not know the language, so of course she was struggling. I was struggling in Spanish, and then I had a Hispanic teacher. Of course, she's Hispanic, right? First of all, this is what I don't get: Hispanic people. Like, if it's a Hispanic teacher or professor, they're really rude to other Hispanic students. It's like, oh, let's be rude to them because they're the same race as us. Whatever. Okay. She was very rude to me. She did not care that I could not speak the language. She did not care that I could not, understand. Like in math class, first of all, I have been in English all the time to where I don't know the vocabulary for the mathematics. I don't know the vocabulary for, history and this and that and sciences and everything. Of course, because I don't know it. So she would get mad at me, yell at me, embarrass me in front of class, like the classmates. And of course, a lot of the students there, like there were a couple students that knew English and Spanish, and if it hadn't been for them, I would have like completely failed that class. It was just horrible. So in order for her to get away with it, she would have me sit with like 2 other girls, and she was like, copy off of them. And then I was like, I can't. I need to learn this. And finally, someone finally listened to my mom's pleas and mine. Sorry, I have like the little. Anyways, somebody finally listened to them, and they finally moved me to the English class, and they moved the girl to the Spanish class. Thank goodness, okay? Because that was just horrible experience. And I was trying to learn Spanish. Trust me, I was. But if you're constantly being yelled at and, embarrassed in front of people, you're not gonna learn, right? That's how I felt. I mean, it was an encouragement. I mean, it encouraged me to learn, but it also made me very self-conscious when it came to speaking Spanish. So I didn't really speak Spanish in high school. I wanted to take Spanish, but because of that contract that was done when I was in elementary school, which was the school's idea, by the way, not my parents. I by school law, I guess you could say that, I could not take Spanish at all. So I was placed in French, and I learned French, and I was even in the French Honor Society. I took 4 years of French, and I was good at it. Well, in college, I was finally free from that stupid little contract, and I ended up taking Spanish, and I loved it. And I was like, okay, I was learning, and yes, my Spanish teacher was actually not Hispanic. He was white, Caucasian, and he he was not like that. He was not like, oh, you're a Spanish speaker. Why don't you get into an advanced class? No, he treated us all equally. Unless you said something like, oh, can I be put in an advanced class or something? Then he would do it. That's very awesome. I love that professor. He is my favorite professor. And anyways, well, my favorite professor in terms of Spanish class. My favorite. So when I got to this school, to university, because I transferred from a community college to a university, the professor at this university was really rude. She had been an advisor and stuff. She thought it would be a good idea to put me in the advanced class. So she placed me in this like grammar, heritage speaker, whatever class. I don't know the title of the class, that's why I'm like, yeah. So, horrible mistake. She placed me in it, and then she always embarrassed me in front of the other students, saying stuff like, you're an embarrassment to the Hispanic community, you're an embarrassment to all the Mexicans, and this and that. I'm like, okay, teach me. Don't judge me this way. don't do this. And I guess she couldn't take it. I ended up like dropping the class, like withdrawing basically because I withdrew before I guess it affected a lot of my GPA, like most of my GPA. So I ended up withdrawing. So I was like, okay, I don't want to take Spanish anymore. And then they're like, no, no, you need at least one semester of Spanish. You need 3 credits. And I was like, darn it. So I ended up taking intermediate Spanish for summer 2, which is just this past well, July basically. And I love the professor I had. She was very nice, and she wanted to move me. And then she's like, "Wait, have you taken the placement exam?" And I'm like, "No, no one told me about it. I've heard about it, but I didn't know I could still take it, even though I already took Spanish at another school." She's like, "Yes, go take it. Take it right now." Like basically. So I went and I took it at the library, and it showed I needed to be an intermediate, and that was just lovely because that's where I needed to be. That is where I needed to be. Anyway, so I really want to learn, and I'm actually trying to learn a little bit of Korean because I do have a friend who's Korean, and I realized one time I was like listening to music, like one of my friends, he's really into Japanese music. Actually, well, my boyfriend is, and he was showing me this one song. It was Korean, and this was before we started dating, and it was more like I guess it was his way of trying to tell me like I like you, and I didn't catch it. But I was like, well, I kind of caught on to it, but I was like, nah, I'm just imagining this. So I was like, I've heard this word before. I've heard it being said, and it was like love, right? And I was like, oh, I know this, and I was like, I know some of these words, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I need to learn it. So I am trying to learn. I'm still learning Spanish. I spent a month and a, or no, half a month in Mexico, and oh, that was hard. Like you start speaking it a little bit more and practicing it because I hadn't had Spanish in about a year or so. So that was really nice. And then when I took the Spanish class now, I was like, I know that word. I know it. Anyways, yeah, it was really interesting. I know this is a very, very long video, and this is my first video, and this is me just like spewing out things. And yeah, basically, it's really nice. I'm trying to learn Spanish and Korean. My Japanese is not that good. I can kind of speak it when I hear something or I see the writing and like yes, like I guess romanized. That's what they call it. Yes. Um, but I do like learning, and I do want to practice my French. I haven't practiced with anyone, so I really need to. Anyway, so I guess I'm gonna cut this video short because I have guests coming over. Actually, not really. My dad's about to come home. Yes, I do live with my parents because like I said, no job, college student, and I'm trying to get a job because I need to help with the bills anyways. And yeah, so hopefully I make more videos. Watch the other ones. They're behind the scenes. They're not that great, but hey, it works. I had to take off the audio from one of the videos because of copyright laws, of course. And it was God Bless America, or no, Proud to be an American. And I was forced to change it. Somebody complained, and there's a phone call. So, I will talk to you guys later, and thank you. I love you.